2022 is coming, and so far we have seen many budget gaming phones throughout the year. One of the phones that people love very much is the Poco X3 Pro. Since for the base 618GB model, it costs around $255 or in Philippine peso, it costs around 12,790 pesos. But in October, Realme wasn't gonna let Poco dominate this segment, and they released the Realme Q3S. And today I'm going to give you guys a full review on this smartphone. In the box, it includes the SIM ejector pin, papers, charging brick, charging cable, case, and finally the phone itself. For the phone color, it only comes in two colors, which is the dark blue and the one that I have here, which is the Aurora color, or as some of the people call it, the violet color. On the storage variant, it offers 6128GB, 8128GB, and finally 8256GB storage. But I assume that the storage is running on UFS 3.1 and the RAM is LPPDR4X. For the display, we have here a 6.6-inch IPS LCD display with 144Hz screen refresh rate and a 600 nits peak brightness. For the refresh rate, it has a 7-step refresh rate for the adaptive refresh rate. It can go as low as 30Hz, then to 48Hz, 50Hz, 60Hz, 90, 120, and finally 144Hz. For the phone's brightness, it has a good enough brightness for outdoor use. For the build, we have here a plastic frame, and on the top of the phone, we have here the noise cancelling microphone. Here on the right, we have here the power button, which doubles as the fingerprint scanner. For the fingerprint scanner, it is really accurate and fast. Here on the left, we have here the volume rockers and the SIM tray slot, which supports dual SIM, and it has a dedicated microSD card slot for memory expansion. Finally, on the bottom of the phone, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack port, noise cancelling microphone, USB Type-C port, and finally its single firing down speaker. On the back, we also have a plastic build, but one thing that makes this feels really premium is its matte finish. And for the Aurora colors design, I personally like it, especially the look when it is reflected by light. It has the same looks as a pink silk crystal. Also here we have the triple camera setup that looks like the one on the Oppo Reno 6, but the camera and flash layout is the same as the Realme V15. For the battery, we have here a 5000 mAh battery, and for a whole day of media use, heavy gaming like CODM and Mobile Legends with all settings set to its highest, and a bit of camera usage, I was able to end off the day with 18% juice left. Charging up the phone, it takes me around an hour or so from 18% to 100. For the chipset, we have here a Snapdragon 778 5G chipset, which is really a powerful mid-range chipset and a battery-efficient one too. Now let's see if this Realme Q3S's Snapdragon 778 can kill the Poco X3 Pro's Snapdragon 860. And for a bit of fun, I will put here to the Poco F3 with its Snapdragon 870 for comparison. After running Antutu Benchmark version 9.2.6 on all of these three devices, we can see that the Poco X3 Pro and the Realme Q3S almost have the same score, which is around 478,000 and 493,000. But of course, the Snapdragon 870 is close to flagship performance, and here we have a score of 662,000 points. Now let's test their Geekbench 5 CPU performance. So here on Geekbench 5, you can see that the Snapdragon 860 performs a bit poorly compared to the Snapdragon 778G. And of course, the Snapdragon 870 is much more powerful compared to these two smartphones. On to gaming. Here on Mobile Legends, we can set our graphics up to ultra graphics. And yes, while playing, it is really smooth and no frame drops at all. Now on to Genshin Impact. With all settings cranked up to its max settings, you can see that the game still runs really smooth. And yeah, there are a few hiccups here and there, but it only happens occasionally. On Call of Duty, we can set up to very high graphics, but if you want to achieve max frame rate, you need to dial down your graphics settings to high. On PUBG, we can set our graphics up to HDR graphics and ultra frame rate. But if you want to achieve extreme frame rate, you need to dial down your graphics to smooth. Now let's talk about its camera. We have here a 48MP main camera, 2MP macro camera, and a 2MP depth sensor. Here are some day and night shots from the main. Here are some video examples on this Realme Q3S. Now let's talk about its speaker setup. We have here a downfiring speaker, a mono speaker, and here is the sound test. Do you think that the sounds coming out of the speaker is great? Leave it down in the comment section below. Now onto the advantages of the phone. Let's talk about its main selling point, which is the pure gaming performance for the price of under $280. What phone can offer you the same battery life with the Snapdragon 778G? Sure, some might say that the Snapdragon 778G is still a Snapdragon 7 series chip. But guys, that's not how the logic works here. Sure, the Poco X3 Pro may have the Snapdragon 860, but doesn't mean that the Snapdragon 778G is weaker and uncomparable to that. Another advantage is the viewing angle for an IPS LCD panel with a 144Hz screen refresh rate. Another upside of the Q3S is its overall build quality and feel. Sure, the sides and the back is made out of plastic, but still the overall build quality is really good since the plastic is really solid and the smooth matte back finish makes it feel premium to the touch and look. Now to the disadvantages. 1. The phone lacks stereo speaker setup. I wish Realme could have put a stereo speaker setup since at first you can really notice the difference between a stereo speaker setup to a single firing one. But if you're gonna use this as your daily driver, I don't find it as a big down since after 2 days you'll get used to it. And to be honest, it sounds okay when you use it daily. But yes, still when comparing it to other smartphones, the mono speaker just doesn't fit in a $270 phone. 2. The speaker setup. I'm sad that there is no ultra-wide camera, but let's be real. Most of the time we're gonna use the main camera, so that's not a big deal to be honest. But in some cases, ultra-wide camera can be handy. Now onto my final verdict. Sure, this phone may have some disadvantages, but take note that this phone is made for people who loves playing games. This phone is cheap already for a Snapdragon 778G with 144Hz screen refresh rate. So if you're like me, then you'll surely love getting this one. But if you're more onto photography and casual use, then maybe look elsewhere. Thank you guys for sticking up to the end of the video. And before I say my final goodbye, I just want to thank you guys for helping me surpass 1,000 subscribers. If it's without you guys, I won't be here anymore. And yeah, anyways, have a great day guys. Bye.